know who we are. I know we've got a lot of return families here, but we also have a lot of new families as well. So my name is Ann, and this is my husband, Steven. We're the directors here at GRP. This is our youngest camper, Elida. She's 4. She will be the stamper, that one of our younger stampers this summer. And Steven and I run around doing all kinds of things at camp. We've got 2 other staff members on the call this evening, so I'd love for them to also introduce themselves. Catherine, will you please?
Hey everybody, I am Catherine. I'm our Director of Education and Outreach at GRP. You might be communicating with me this summer if you have any forms that are due or any questions. I'm generally the one that's emailing. And then you'll see me bus driving, lifeguarding, potentially leading some hikes, and just interacting and hanging out at camp, kind of running around doing a little bit of everything. But I'm so excited to see y'all this summer.
Hey everybody, my name is Hayne. I get the good fortune of living here at camp with my husband, who also works here, and our children. This summer, or this winter and fall, you've probably emailed with me. We might be talking on the phone sometimes. Thanks for your patience in getting us on the phone. And during the summer, you'll see me we all wear lots of hats, so you'll see me running around. You might see me at the Pioneer Cabin or out on a hike, but we're very excited to have you all join us tonight.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Hayne and Catherine. All right, so just to give y'all an overview of what the next little bit's gonna look like, we just wanna break down the protocols a little bit more. I'm not gonna break down every section. We are gonna have probably a series of webinars throughout this spring to kind of talk about certain topics more in depth. But I do want to give you an overview of what daily life at camp is going to look like, what activities and hikes are going to look like in your family unit. There have been a lot of questions about masks as well, and when and where you're going to be wearing those. So break down the protocols a little bit, and then also just in general talk about some frequently asked questions that have come our way in the last couple of weeks, to hopefully just let you all, if one person's asking that question, I know other people are thinking it as well. So, and then at the end, we'll also allow time, if there are any other additional questions. Catherine and Hayne are going to be monitoring the chat during this time, so they can help filter some of those and make sure we get them answered. And I'll just let you know, if we don't answer them right now in this session, we will get back to you. One of the most important things about GRP for us as a staff and families. So we want you to know that we are here for you, and we want to help you feel great about sending your camper to summer camp with us this year. And we know that there are a lot of questions also right now. So we want to do the best to answer what we can at the moment, and if we can't, we'll get back to you, okay? You can always call us or email us. All right, so I'm sure since in this past week, most of you have had a chance to look over the camp protocols that we sent out. I'm calling those our health and safety guidelines for 2021. And something that's really important to know with that is that document was truly made with the idea that if we were opening camp today, tomorrow, this is how we would operate. Our hope is that by the time we open our gates to campers on June 6th, some of those protocols can be relaxed, or some will be changed. In an ideal world, our staff will be vaccinated. We last week got the go-ahead that our staff are deemed essential workers, and so we're working on getting letters out to our staff right now to go be in the phase 3 in North Carolina, I think it's section 1B. And so crossing our fingers, our staff will be vaccinated by summer, and that will certainly, change some of the protocols as well. But just please know that it's a working document, and as we update it, we will let you know as well, so you can just stay on top of things and how things are going. The other thing that I just want to really let you all know is we decided back in September that we were going to run camp, because enough camps this past summer, we felt like, ran it successfully. And we also felt like we would have this school year to see how schools operate. And we also feel extremely lucky that our land is so vast and we have private access to it. And so even if we were, right where we are right now with the pandemic in June, we have the space to spread out, and we feel confident that we can run a successful program that way. Let you all know is September. I think I can certainly share with many of the parents on this call right now the sentiment of my children need camp so badly. And not having it this past summer was just incredibly hard. So I'm working my little booty off to make sure that it happens this summer, and our staff is doing a great job helping, and we're just trying to be as creative and flexible and adaptable as possible. So those are just a couple of things to know. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention before I kind of dive into the general day-to-day stuff is the way we are truly approaching this, and you probably read this in the guideline, let you all know, we didn't get to it today, but you can check back later on this week on working my little booty off to make sure in our summer safety page, I'm going to have a list of resources with some articles and documents up. And one of those is this idea of the Swiss cheese approach. I'm sure many of you extremely love our land. That's how we're truly thinking of helping to keep our, and then with all of our non-pharmaceutical, right where we are, and you probably read this in the guidelines, guys, that we're putting into place. So what I mean by Swiss cheese, didn't get to it today, but you can choose it if you're that way. So we have been working.
Hi, everybody. Apologize. Different internet connections, and you're skipping a little bit. So maybe pausing a second and retrying right now, or the feed was going back in, but try it again.
Okay.
Maybe I'll go close my computer.
I think you're good now.
What I was just saying was, okay. What I was just saying was our approach. You can check of a piece of Swiss cheese in the holes. That first layer is the mask. The second layer we're trying to cover up with another piece of Swiss cheese is the social distancing. The third is the cohorts. The fourth is being outside, and all of those mitigations together, hopefully are covering up the holes and letting, the potential virus come into our community. So that's the approach we're taking. We've got 10 guiding principles that we're operating under that are in your protocols. And those I'm sure you all are very familiar with. Outdoors, being outdoors as much as possible, which is something that we do anyway, all the time. Masking when needed, cohorting, distancing, quarantining if needed, testing as mitigation, protecting our bubble, sanitizing, rethinking and empowering our community members. I mean, by Swiss cheese as a community within, but our families out. Second layer, we're trying outside as well. Okay. How's the feed working now? You okay?
There's a little bit of like lag. Right. If you have a second computer on, maybe turn that one off. But for the most part, I got most of that.
Principles that we're operating under. What I was just saying that are in your protocols is, I'm sure you know you're being outdoor anyway, all the time. Masking when needed, cohorting, just if I close some things out, if that will help. Sorry about this, everybody. Our community members.
I do a lot of telehealth. I mean, one thing you can do is, well, that's not one.
Sorry, yes, whoever is the telehealth person. I didn't catch you, but Yes.
The idea that I have is not going to work for this large of a group, but I spoke too soon. Sorry.
Yeah, if y'all want to turn off cameras, I think I'm gonna try and there is another I'm gonna try one more thing over on our end. We apologize. The protocol too.
Something that we do anyway, all the time. Mask hoarding, distancing, testing is mitigation. Thinking and empowering our community members and communicating. Okay. How's the feed working now?
A
If
little,
maybe you turned your camera off, it'd be better.
maybe.
Me? Yeah, I'm gonna.
And you're sounding
I'm
better.
going. I wonder about. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
Close. Yeah, I'm gonna cut my video and see how that goes.
Sounds like a plan. I'll let you know if it's not working.
Okay.
Better.
Thank you all for your patience. Obviously, the technology.
Yeah. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that, everybody. All right. let me look here really quickly at my notes. Okay.
Just finished
Oh
that.
yeah. So and then the other thing that I just wanted to mention that we feel super lucky about is we at camp, we don't have any enclosed buildings. All of our buildings have screened windows. There's a lot of ventilation. All of our activities will be outside. Our lodge even has screens in there. So in speaking with epidemiologists and some of our doctors, I feel like this is just a huge advantage for us in our programming. Okay. So with that being said, I know a lot of you all are really curious about, okay, what is camp going to look like? What is my daily life? What's my cabin going to be like, and all that kind of stuff. So this might be repetitive for some of you returners, but for new folks, our cabins are set up like duplexes. We've got bathrooms in the middle, and then on either side, up to 7 campers and 2 counselors. And so each cabin will be a family. We're calling them families. And think of your family as your cohort. You all are probably living in your family cohorts right now, and that's our intention with this summer. So all tucked in 1 and 2 will be a family. Hemlock Hut 1 and 2 will be a family. Okay, so that'll be about 12 to 14 campers and 3 to 4 staff. And similar to most years, you will be doing a lot of stuff in your cabin cohort. But different this year is you will be going on your mentor hikes and doing your activities with your family. So in past years, we've mixed it up, but this year, just for safety reasons, we need to keep it together. Now, beyond your family, we're going to have what we call neighborhoods, and neighborhoods are going to be about 50 campers each, and some staff as well. And so the neighborhoods, how we're thinking of those, we're going to have 2 neighborhoods. One will be the 4 youngest cabins, and one will be the 4 oldest cabins. And so within those neighborhoods, you're going to have male and female cabins. Okay. And you will operate in those neighborhoods in some of our larger camp activities like mealtime, free time, and evening programs. Those are the bigger ones. When you are operating within your family, and cross interacting with other families, you will be wearing masks. But within your family, within your cabin cohort, you will not be wearing masks. And the reason for that being is, one, we want our campers to be able to feel safe and to also be able to have some normalcy within camp. And we also just figured, y'all are going to be sleeping at night, and we're not going to be sleeping with masks. but we are going to have ventilation in the cabins. You know, we've got the open screens, we've got fans going on. And so if we're going to be unmasked sleeping, we might as well be unmasked also doing activities and hanging out with one another. So that's what your family unit is going to look like. You'll wake up in the morning, you'll go to breakfast in the lodge. The lodge for our return campers will look a little bit different this year. We've got to space out our tables. So one neighborhood will be seated in the lodge, spaced out. The recommendation is 6 feet. We're looking at doing a little bit more like 10 between each family cabin group. And then another neighborhood is going to be spread out around the lodge. So there's probably going to be a family sitting on the sun porch eating meals. There's probably going to be a family down in that comfy couch room. There might even be a family in the pottery studio. So we will all be together, but we're going to be a little bit separated as well. Okay. So we'll have breakfast, and then after breakfast, one neighborhood is going to be going out on mentor hikes on the property. The other neighborhood is going to stay on camp and do activities. So that is a little bit different from last year. And then in the afternoon, we'll swap. The neighborhood that did activities in the morning will be doing mentor hikes in the afternoon, and vice versa, activities and mentor hikes. Does that make sense? Are there any questions about that at this time? Okay, we can come back. I'm sure y'all might think of any, some things. I guess moving further on into the evening, we will also have scheduled shower times within your family cabin cohorts. We'll have to make sure that no other cabins are mixing in the shower area. Again, we're pretty lucky here. Doctors that I've spoken with have said, awesome, you've got outdoor showers, that's great. Utilize those. So we'll probably mostly be using our outdoor showers this summer. And then evening programs, we feel at this point that there are a lot of evening programs that we are going to be able to do together as a large camp community. However, socially distanced. So for instance, let's take our one of our favorites, council, our upper council fire. We're all going to be able to be at the upper council fire ring, but we're just going to be sitting in our family cohort distance from the next family cohort. Okay, so we might just have to sing a little bit louder so we feel a little bit closer. Predator prey, thankfully, we're pretty much already distanced in that activity anyway. So we've got a few modifications we're working into that one, but overall, that's an activity that we know we're still going to be running. Now, there might be some evenings where it's just your neighborhood doing an evening program. And the other neighborhood is doing another evening program. But think about that as some fun, exciting new adventure that is coming your way. We got to keep some camp surprises up ahead. Okay. All right. Let's see. Are there any questions on that before I move into kind of our frequently asked questions? Catherine, how's the communication going?
Looking pretty good. We have had some questions coming in about the day-to-day schedule, mainly wake up times. What about rest hour? And one for how many kids per cabin?
Okay, wake up time. Traditionally, we have woken up, or the last couple of years, we've woken up at 7:45. I would assume it's going to be somewhat the same. However, I do know we're looking at having meal times being a little bit longer this year. So it might be that we wake up a little bit earlier, or we just extend breakfast a little bit longer. But stay tuned for details on that, okay? But I would expect somewhere between 7:45 and 8. Rest hour, absolutely. Rest hour is the best hour. We will definitely be having rest hour. Everybody needs that to recharge. So you can count on that. Sorry, and I know there was one more that you said. Oh, I see buses.
Number of kids, and then buses.
Okay, number of kids per cabin. So we will have up to 14 kids in a cabin. Okay, and And that would be with 3 to 4 counselors per cabin. All right. And then on a bus, how that will work is we still have to physically go in and really mark off the seats in the bus. But what we are looking at this moment is having 2 families on a bus. So one family would probably be seated all together up front, and then there would be space between them, and another family would be in the back. We'd have all the windows rolled down, and campers and staff would be wearing masks on the bus. Okay. Any others on that one? Okay.
And we've got a few more questions that came in. Do the outdoor showers have warm water?
Yes, absolutely they do. I wish y'all could see Steve right now. He's very proud of the on-demand hot water heaters that we put in a couple years ago. So yes, you will have hot water.
And another question, activity selection. So how will activity selection work?
Yeah, that's a really smart question. And I have to say, y'all, we are still kind of working some of this out. But what it's looking like at the moment is we are going to be making the family activity schedule for your cabin, okay? And how we're going to do that over the last couple years, most of you all probably know Avery. Avery's our summer camp program director. He's also our data specialist. And Avery has been collecting data over the last couple years, trying to figure out what are the activities that campers like the best. And so he's using that data to give you the best schedule possible this summer. And so it might be that you never get pottery and you're going to get pottery this year, or you've never tried climbing and you're going to have climbing this year. So we will, at this point, it's looking like we will be making your schedule for your family, and it'll be in blocks. Okay. So let's say, for instance, in the morning, you're going to be at activities. You're not going on a mentor hike. Your cabin is staying and y'all are going to be doing activities. So during that 3-hour time frame, you will maybe spend an hour and a half at climbing and then an hour and a half at the Pioneer cabin. And let's say you're in Hemlock Hut. Hemlock Hut 1 will be at the climbing tower, and Hemlock Hut 2 will be at Pioneer cabin, and then at that hour and a half mark, y'all will switch. Okay, so that's just an example, but activities will pair up in that way. Now, for our 2 and our 3 week camper group learning projects, we will we want to be able to give you guys some voice and choice in that. So we'll be figuring out some sort of way to let you all make your preference and or choose your activities for those days. And I also would love to figure out a way to, you know, I know that there are campers that love arts and crafts and might take arts and crafts every single day if they could. And so, like in those situations, I would really encourage y'all to please reach out to us, and let's figure out a way to be creative and make that happen. Maybe it's that we can have some special arts and crafts or something happening as well during free time or something. So that's just a little bit of overview of activities at this point. Anything else?
Yeah, we've got, these questions are awesome, and they kind of span all, we're going all over the place, but that's great. It keeps us on our toes.
Well, how about this? If I could do this, why don't I go through the top 10 that I've been getting, and maybe I'll answer some of them, and then if we come back, we can come back. Okay. So one question that I have been getting a lot is, if coronavirus improves, will the guidelines be adjusted to make camp more similar to previous years? 100%. Absolutely. Yes. Like I said at the beginning, we'll be updating this playbook. We'll be letting y'all know. Hopefully I can have better internet and we can continue to have some amazing Zoom chats with y'all, and we'll just keep you posted on what's going to happen. Okay. That is, I can tell you all that is our sincere hope as an admin that will happen. Another question that's come up a bunch is, tell me about masks. Tell me about testing you're planning to do. Mask will, masks are just going to be part of our daily life like they are now. So I want to unclick my video for a sec so I can show y'all a little something. Hopefully I don't mess it up. Okay, so I've got my GRP buff on. I've done a lot of research on buffs recently. And what we're planning to do is order buffs, give every camper 1 or 2 buffs, every staff member 1 or 2 buffs. And our goal is for y'all to pretty much have those around your neck a lot, but also bring masks to camp as well. So this is a buff. And what we love about these is they stick around your neck, as opposed to the mask getting hooked on your ears and maybe falling off.
How many masks do you see on the ground? I've tended to see a lot, but you don't find the buffs on the ground. And CDC guidelines say that once you fold this buff in half, you are observing the CDC guidelines for facial coverings.
Yeah.
So
we've been working on some really cool designs and are looking forward to sharing those with y'all. And so we'll be giving out some of these buffs, but then also want our camper bringers and our staff to also bring their own. Because I know if y'all are anything like my kids, they've got some masks that they love and they feel the most comfortable in. So we want y'all to bring those. Bring masks.
guidelines for facial coverings.
We're figuring out the fine details of our laundry and how we're going to be doing that. But I'm imagining there's going to be at least every other day a cabin gathering of the mask, and we'll make sure that those get washed and returned to your camper. I'm going to turn off my video just because it looked like it was stalling a little bit more.
Tended to don't find the buffs on the ground. Say that once
To be doing that, but I'm imagining there's going to make sure that those get washed and returned to your camper. I'm going to turn is that truly in a typical day, you, the camper within your camper. Okay, but my hope is in your camper lot, because you'll be with your family. You'll be hiking outside with your family. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, but
lag. So give it like 5 seconds probably. And then, sorry, everybody. Hi. Thank y'all for your patience. We are seeing your questions coming through. Anne is planning on answering a lot of these. So if we haven't responded yet, that is what's happening. And they'll probably be discussed. Anne, probably take it away now.
Okay. So just to reiterate that point, yes, we will have masks, but our goal is to not have you wear a mask all day long. Okay, that is a major reason for staying in these family cohorts. So you can be unmasked, you can freely be hiking without a mask, you can be at activities without a mask, and the only, our main times for wearing them are going to be entering the lodge, transitioning between activities, crossing over between other groups. Okay. Testing. So in the protocols, we have asked that every camper and staff member needs to arrive at camp with a negative PCR test. This is one of 3 types of tests that are out there. I'm sure we have some doctors on here, so I'm not going to try and completely sound like an expert in this field, but I have learned a fair amount about testing in the last couple of months. Many communities now are coming up with faster return response rates for PCR tests. So we stated in the protocols, we asked for you all to please get a PCR test 3 to 5 days prior to coming to camp. If you can even, if your community can turn around a PCR test in 24 hours, I would encourage that as well. The closer you can have that test result to camp, the better. Because between having that test and between coming to camp is our unknown kind of exposure. Now, our hope is that everybody will be abiding by, some quarantine rules and be traveling safely to camp. But that is certainly a risk, that travel portion. It is our goal, and I had a very successful meeting today about testing, but it is our goal to also conduct a rapid test on arrival when campers come to camp. So stay tuned. Opening day procedures will be coming your way in the next couple of weeks. And part of that opening day procedure will be driving in, handing over your negative PCR test, and then getting a rapid test right there on site. And so before we even unload all your stuff and get you moved into the cabin, we've had that rapid test. Now, in our longer 2 and 3 week sessions, our goal is also to test 4 to 5 days into camp. Reason being, just to, again, capture any of that travel exposure and make sure that we're keeping our bubble safe. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, what about staff? You're talking about campers, but what about staff? Because you know that they've got time off, and could that be a risk to the bubble? Absolutely. I've gotten several questions about staff and how we are planning to control them or mitigate the risk with the staff. And what I can tell you right now is our goal is to get them vaccinated. That's what we are working towards. In the meantime, what we are stating and have outlined for them and their protocols is staff will not be leaving camp this summer. They will be allowed to leave to hike, to do outdoor activities on our property. But as far as going into town to go to Walmart, that will not be happening. Another staff member who only will be coming into camp and not interacting with campers will be heading up supply lists for staff and getting things like that. We also have a wonderful relationship with our UPS man and Amazon. And so I would imagine that will be used pretty heavily for folks who need those supplies. So we really are looking carefully at our staff and trying to make sure that they are protecting the bubble. Okay. Okay, so that was testing, mask, and staff. I've also had a lot of folks ask, what happens if there's a positive case in my child's cabin? What are you going to do? And this is kind of one of the $1 million questions. So what I can tell you right now is what would happen if it's symptomatic and we did a rapid test on site and they tested positive. You as a parent would be getting a phone call. We'd be asking you to come pick that camper up within the next 12 hours. During that time, we would have them isolated and, have them as entertained as possible as we could in that way, and making sure that they're good and they're fine and they're safe until you could get there to pick them up. Now, the rest of the cabin would be quarantined. Okay, what is that going to look like? Well, that's going to look like even a more bit of an adjusted schedule, but we're still going to have camp with you all, those that are quarantined. Okay, so the counselors would be quarantined with the cabin. The counselors are going to be cross-trained in a lot of activities, and so we will just work with that cabin to make sure that we are still carrying on camp in some capacity for you all while you're being quarantined and monitored. We've got 2 medical staff on site during every session, so we're going to up our daily screenings with that quarantine cabin, doing more temperature checks and symptom monitoring. We would do testing. We would work with the public health office and our medical staff to figure out when it would be appropriate to do testing, depending on when that positive case happened and when that exposure happened. You as parents in that cabin would definitely be contacted. If you felt like you wanted to come to camp and pick up your child, you absolutely could. But if you wanted to keep them there, that would be fine as well. That is what we are planning to do, is to have them there. We feel like, again, we've got the land, we've got the resources to make this happen. Okay, so let's see. We've got positive test. Okay, another really frequent question has been diving a little bit more into the families and the mixture between males and females, and are we going to have a brother cabin this year? And what I can tell you is, yes, you will have a brother and a sister cabin this year, but it is going to look a little bit different. For our longer sessions, our 2 and our 3 week sessions, you will be going on camp out with either your sister cabin or your brother. Well, let's see. If you're in a female cabin, you'll be going with your sister cabin. If you're in a male cabin, you'll be going with your brother cabin. Okay. You will be interacting with your brother cabin again at evening programs, free time, meal time, and some other times. But for the beginning of camp, we truly need to keep those family cohorts as their individual pods. That will help us mitigate any spread or potential infection amongst other families. Now, I have also been asked too, what about, you've got the layers of testing. If we find out 5 days into camp that everybody's negative, can we relax some of these protocols some? My hope is yes. I attended the big national camp conference last week, and I will say overwhelmingly the advice from medical professionals was don't. But I want to keep working towards that being a possibility. So stay tuned for details on that. Hand in hand with that, I've also been asked a lot of questions about the makeup of cabins and who will be in my cabin, and what if I don't click with somebody in my cabin, and how is that going to work? You all probably know from filling out your application that we do have something that says, do you have a cabin request? Some of you might have filled that out, some of you might not have. That's okay at this point. We are going to strive incredibly hard this year to make any cabin requests happen. So we will be sending out another email later on this spring just to give another push for that. So if there is a former camper that you've been in a cabin with that you want to make sure you're paired up with, please let us know. Please also know that that cabin request has to be mutual. So we'll contact that camper too to make sure that that works. If your child typically tends to be with older campers, you probably put that on or put that on your application, and that's something that we'll work to make sure that your child feels comfortable with their cabin mates. I also just want to stress too, don't feel concerned if you don't have somebody that you want to put down for that cabin request. I know from personal experience, my favorite thing about going to camp was being in a cabin with nobody I knew, until I started to get my camp buddies. And then it was like, oh yeah, I want to be with them. But in the beginning, I just loved meeting all the new people from everywhere. So I would really encourage you to, both campers and parents, to just, challenge your kids to meet new friends, because the people that come to GRP are awesome. So I know whatever your cabin looks like, it's going to be amazing. Okay. All right. Some other things that I've gotten some questions around are first-time campers and any helpful tips and tricks, and even about the swim tests and stuff like that. So I just want to take a moment to talk about that, but then I also want to say that we are going to have a first-time camper specific webinar later on, just to give you all some space and time to really dive deep into some of these questions. And as we proceed later on this spring, we'll be sending out some great helpful tips like how to pack your trunk, and what do I need to look forward to, and how do I, should I write a letter to my camper before I leave, before coming to camp? Yes, all of those things. So, but here are just a couple of quick tips that I wanted to share with y'all right now. Camp, y'all know me. Camp, I'm a diehard camper. I love camp. I think camp is the best thing. And if you're a first-time camper, raha, I cannot wait to meet you this summer. It is going to be amazing. Okay. We are just going to have the best time. GRP is awesome. It is a place where you can be yourself. So, a lot of things for you all are just going to be brand new no matter what. So for a return camper, some things might look a little bit different, but I can tell you that the feeling of being welcomed home and finding your space is going to be there. So for those first-time camper parents, just a couple of quick tips would be, make sure you label everything. Or maybe don't be concerned about losing it. And maybe hand in hand with that would be, don't send your child's favorite clothes or their favorite things to camp. Be okay with just sending, maybe some of their clothes that you don't mind about getting ruined. Shoes are really important because we hike the land a lot. So a good pair of sturdy tennis shoes or hiking boots that are broken in and water sandals are really key to your child having success at camp. I would encourage you to write a letter before bringing your child to camp. It's always great to get letters those first couple of days. We love mail time is awesome. And then also about the swim test. I've gotten some questions about that. What does that look like? Well, really, we call it a swim review. And it's pretty simple. I feel like I see the Barker kids in there. They could probably tell us a little bit about what the swim test looks like. But it's it's swim out to the, is that Chapel or is that Scout? Can you tell us what the swim review looks like?
Hi, Scout and Jude. So mainly you just swim and they sing happy birthday and you have to swim front and back. It's just really easy.
Awesome. Thank y'all. It's pretty simple. We try and keep it really low stress. If you don't want to swim, you don't have to do it. If you want to wear a life jacket, you can wear a life jacket. We just try and keep it really mellow. We don't have swim lessons at camp. We just have swim free time. So that's pretty much the swim review. Another thing that I wanted to say was for those first-time campers, a lot of campers love to have a trunk, but it's not a necessity. If you have a big duffel bag, that's fine too. Again, the key thing is really just labeling. Okay. Okay. The last question that I've been getting a lot from are from some of our 9th and 10th graders. So I don't know if I've got any of my 9th and 10th graders out there that are coming during the 3-week session, but they have been asking, how will they be grouped? Are they going to be mixed age? And to be honest with y'all, I can say right now, I've looked at both males and females, and we have about 18 9th and 10th, almost 40 9th and 10th graders total. So that's a lot of cabins. So again, just make those cabin requests, and or we'll do our best to make sure that you're in an amazing cabin with your friends. So and remember, your family is going to be both sides of the cabin. So it's that duplex structure. So yes, you'll be sleeping with potentially 6 other campers, but you walk over to the other side and you're going to have 6 to 7 other campers that are in your family as well. Okay. All right. Those were all my questions that I had typed up. Hayne, Catherine, what else do y'all got for me?
Okay, so you've covered a lot of what's coming through the chat, but I've got a couple that I'm happy to answer, and then I'll kick a couple to you, Ann, if that suits.
Great.
So a question came through, how long are meals and free time? And I think that the best answer is that they're nice and long. It's we're going to have a really relaxed summer together, and because we're going to be feeding y'all in a different way, it's going to be a little bit slower. And so meal times are still family style with your family in the lodge, and that's where we'll make announcements and you'll see all your favorite camp superheroes. And then free time is going to be a really critical part, because a lot of you haven't been in school since last March. My two boys haven't, and so just wanting unstructured time to hang out with people, there'll be plenty of that. So I don't have a specific for you yet, but you will have plenty of time to eat and plenty of time to hang out. Another question, which raises an interesting point: do we need a buddy to go to the bathrooms as in years past? And the answer is yes, and here is why. So you have your bathrooms in your cabin, and then when you're out at your activities or around camp, sometimes you go to the bathrooms in the lodge. This summer, we're closing the bathrooms in the lodge just so that, because we can't really control the amount of people going in and clean it in between people easily. And so we're going to have cabins use their own bathrooms. And so you may be down at the gazebo and need to go to the bathroom, so you're going to have to go all the way back to your cabin. So you take a buddy with you. It's more fun, you can have them sit outside on the steps for a little privacy, but you will be using your bathrooms in your cabin.
What if you're already in your cabin? Can you just walk to the bathroom?
Totally. You do not have to have a buddy to go to the bathroom when you're in your cabin. It's just when you're away from your cabin. Historically, we've said, take a buddy if you're going to the bathroom. And sometimes campers would go to the shower house to go to the bathroom because we have toilets in there, but we're asking all of our campers to use their cabin bathrooms. Okay, and then a question came in about the 3-week session. After the first 10 days, will we be able to test and then all be together? And that came in an email and through the chat. So, Anne, I'm going to kick that over to you.
Yeah, again, I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. That is my goal. That is my hope. That is, if that was the session that we could do it, that's the one that we'll be able to do it. So that's what I'm working towards, absolutely. But again, when I was attending this conference last week, the overwhelming advice from the medical professionals that were speaking and talking about COVID in camp was, do not relax your bubble. That being said, I'm still towards trying to make that goal happen. So, in a world where everybody has tested negative, including the staff, and we have 10 days left of the 3-week, I am trying to figure out, okay, what are the risks that would be entering to harm that bubble, and can we manage them? So at this point in time, I'm going to say, stay tuned, to be continued. Okay, but that's my hope. That's what we're all working towards.
There is a question about, is there still Pretty Place? And yes, that is the capstone of our session 3 is our sunrise hike to Pretty Place. And as far as I know, that is on the books, Anne.
Yes.
And questions came through, will there be a variety show and a play?
Variety show, yes, absolutely. It's my favorite evening program. We cannot get rid of it. And it just might be that this year it's on the front field on our stage that we use for Shindig. We're envisioning, a couple of evening programs being in that manner. And then the play, I hope so. I'm not sure yet. Catherine and Avery we're just starting to work on activities and figuring that out, because the play has been done by our advanced theater campers in the past. I'm trying to figure out how we can make that happen safely. Okay. So it might be that we have a different evening program in place of the play, like skit night or something like that. But I know, just knowing camp, there will be a lot of dramatic, enjoyable, funny evening programs coming your way. Okay, is there anything else?
Say what?
Catherine, do you see any questions that I've missed?
The ones I think we have kind of answered it, of the what if my siblings are at camp and that we're not in the same family group and wanting to see them, is the one that we have gotten a couple people asking about.
That's a really smart question. And sorry, I'm just thinking for a sec. You know, I'm sorry, I haven't really thought this one completely through. So I think what I'm going to say on that is stay tuned. Let's write that down and let's figure out some details for that. Okay. I feel like I saw, okay, if there is a positive case, can and will the cabin be disinfected? Yes. We're hiring in the past. In the past couple of years, we haven't had a cleaning staff. We've done it all in-house with our own staff. We are going to have some extra hands this summer to help us clean daily with some of our high-use traffic areas. And then they will be on call to help in these situations like, hey, we need to disinfect this entire cabin. Cabins will also be fully cleaned in between sessions and all that as well. Will the counselors associated with those campers, if there is a positive case, be off duty for the following session? You know, it just depends on the timing of that. If we have a positive case on a Thursday and a session is starting on a Sunday, yes. They will not be starting the next session because we'll need to finish that quarantine period with them and make sure they're safe to come back. But if that happens in a longer session where they've been quarantined with their cabin and everybody's safely gone through the quarantine and nobody's tested positive from that cohort, then we will let them participate in the next session.
And one question that's coming through is, and I know we'll talk about it with new campers, but drop-off procedures. What opening day, just a short overview of what that might look like.
Sure, yeah. I will be honest, I have not nailed this down, but from what I have learned from camps who operated this past summer and then camps talking about operating this summer, what everybody has advised is to have some staggered drop-off times. So what I envision opening day looking like, instead of being 1 to 3, it might be 12 to 4. And if and between like 12 and 1 will be 2 cabins, 2 families that will be dropped off. So we will let you know that time way ahead so you can prepare. And then when you come to drop off, we're asking you all to bring as few people as possible to drop off, just to help with the, lessening the germs coming in. But again, hopefully at that point too, we have a lot of adults vaccinated. So, that certainly could change as well. But on drop off, we are really encouraging people and to please have all of your paperwork filled out prior to camp. Historically, some folks have brought some of that paperwork to camp with them. We're asking that all of that be done beforehand, because as parents, you will be staying in the back field where we have opening day in your car. So you'll pull up during your designated time. We'll do a rapid test. If you have medications to turn over to the nurses, we'll make sure that happens. And then once we get that rapid test back and it's all good to go, our staff will help unload your camper stuff and we will move them into the cabin. Again, more details to come on that as we work it out. And I envision there being a webinar specific to that, as well as things like dining hall procedures and things like that as we get closer to camp. Yeah, did I miss anything on that, Hayne or Catherine?
I think a tie-in to that I've seen in a couple of places, if the parents have been vaccinated, or if they have a negative PCR test, will they be allowed into the cabin areas? And right now the answer is no, because unless all the parents are vaccinated, that would be really hard to say, okay, your parents can settle you, but your parents can't, because we really have no control over the vaccination rollout. And so depending on what state, while it would be amazing if we were all vaccinated by the beginning of the summer, that is unlikely. So we have to make the field equitable for everybody that's coming in.
Yeah, and I will say, I just want to add on to that too. I know as a parent, that's probably got to be a little unnerving, and we completely recognize that. And but some positive things that I have heard from camps that ran this past summer is drop off overall was overwhelmingly one of the biggest changes for camps, and it was in a positive way. Less homesickness on that first day, just really quick and easy, and it just helps with that transition. And so we are all committed to making that transition be as seamless as possible and settling your camper in, and making sure that they are comfortable and feel really good. So I envision as we get closer, us also just making some tips and tricks. If your child has 2 pillows and one of them's their favorite and this pillowcase has got to go on it, make sure you write that on that Post-it note or whatever, and we will make sure that happens. So or if you have suggestions, please feel free to reach out to us on that too, because we're certainly trying to make that time, again, as comfortable and as safe feeling for everybody as possible. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, it looks like I'm getting kind of the thumbs up, and we are right at an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and just say thank you all so much for your time this evening. It is so wonderful to see just faces, and gets us so pumped about camp, and it's truly motivating to keep working to make this happen, because we are just so excited to see y'all this summer. So again, we will keep up the communication. We'll keep up these webinars. If you have suggestions or further questions, please reach out to us, phone, email, whatever. And thank you so much for all your patience with the technology. I'll try and make sure that that's squared away for next time too. Okay, go out and seek the joy, kiddos.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Bye. One last question. I want to know one more thing.
Yeah.
For the 1 week session, will we get to have any choice in our activities?
So for the 1 week session, we are going to pre-schedule your activities, but is there something that you really want to do that you want to let me know right now? Or if you want to think about that and tell your mom or your dad and let them get in touch with us, we can see what we can make happen. Okay? How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay, awesome. Yes, awesome. Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
Hi, this is Sarah Beth Bartlett. I just wanted to thank you guys for such a great evening. Hi, Catherine.
Hey,
Thank
Sarah
you.
Beth, how are you?
I'm wonderful. I haven't seen you since you were just a little girl, and I gotta tell you, I cried the first 20 minutes.
Oh,
And I'm so excited for my children. God, I'm sorry, I can't even keep it together, but this just means so much to me. So I wanted you to know from my heart that there's like no greater joy in my life than my kids coming here. And I just wanted to share that with you. I'm sorry.
Oh, I have wonderful memories of when I used to hang out in your cabin as a child.
Yeah.
So I am excited to have your kids at camp and that y'all get to come back for family camp. I'm so excited.
I'm like, my dreams are truly coming true. You have no idea. My husband's heard me talk about this for 15 years. And yeah, I'm so thrilled. And thank you for all that you guys are doing. You're going above and beyond. I'm so impressed, and I feel so confident in all the measures that you're taking. And I just cannot wait to be in North Carolina with these beautiful people. So thank you so much.
Of course, we're so excited.
Thank
All right.
you.
You guys take care and have a great evening. Take care.
Bye,
Good
Sarah
night.
Beth.
Bye.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
And archery's on the list
Okay.
for sure.
Is that everybody?
Hold on, there's one more.
Okay.
Okay. Hold on.